All right, my lovelies, here is the last part of chapter 6. All right, so kind of ending up with our governments here. All right, so like we talked about in the last one, Articles of Confederation do not work. Biggest part of the problem is that there is no way for the government to make money. They can basically go to the states and ask for money, but the states can say no. They don't have to give money to the government if they don't want to. Okay, so you were going to have a lot of money debates. You've got debts, you've got taxes, you've got tariffs, and it's going to really dominate that political agenda that is occurring. And that is going to be something that will be talked about a lot as we move into the new Constitution. Some are going to want a strong central government. They're realizing that this no executive under the Articles of Confederation is not the best idea. And that includes the creditors in the South, the people who are trying to collect their money. They're realizing that it's not the best idea either. So there's going to be a lot of conversation about that going on. Okay, so in May of 1787, you were going to get the Philadelphia Convention, or the Constitutional Convention of 1787. So we have been under the Articles of Confederation 8 to 10 years at this point. And they're going to have a meeting, which basically is to, the initial plan is to amend the Articles of Confederation. So they want to change them to make it work better. But as they're talking and as they're kind of getting together, they're starting to realize that they can't amend the Articles of Confederation. They're going to have to write a new thing altogether. You'll have a lot of debates during this convention. Madison took a lot of notes. Not the most exciting thing to read. But they talk a lot. They have a lot of discussions about the things that go in the Constitution. So never think it was done lightly. Everything was thought about. Everything was debated. We'll start with the 55 delegates that are going to arrive in May of 1787 into Philadelphia. They're going to go to Independence Hall, the same place they wrote the Declaration of Independence. Rhode Island, they are not interested in increasing central authority, so they don't send a representative. So you have representatives from 12 of the 13 colonies, original colonies, now states. Most of the people are going to be strong nationalists. 42 of them had served in the Confederation Congress, meaning they were part of the Congress under the Articles of Confederation. They were also educated in property. You have merchants, slaveholding planters, and moneyed men. George Washington is going to be the presiding official, and this is going to be based off of his success in the Revolutionary War. Well, we win, so he's successful. All right. Let's see. The delegates are going to consider the Virginia Plan. So this is proposed by James Madison. It rejects state sovereignty for national authority, basically saying states don't get as much control as they currently have. It calls for a national government to be established by the people, and it proposes a 3-tier election system. Smaller states liked the New Jersey Plan, which gave power to raise revenue, control commerce, and make binding requisitions on the states to the Confederation. It's going to preserve the states' control of their own laws and guarantee their equality. And one of the big differences between the two is going to be the Virginia Plan calling for a bicameral legislature. So basically you have two groups. So like we have it today, bicameral, the Congress and the House is bicameral. The New Jersey Plan calls for a unicameral, and it's kind of the way it's set up under the Articles of Confederation, which every state receives one vote. The one thing that they both call for, though, is a strong national government with 3 branches of government. So the compromise is going to come between, are we going to have bicameral or are we going to have unicameral? How's it going to work out? Do we want to do it by population? Because you see, in the bicameral on the Virginia Plan, it's done by population. So obviously the larger states are going to vote on that, whereas smaller states are going to want to vote on the New Jersey Plan. So that's why you'll hear it a lot of times. Virginia Plan's for big states, New Jersey Plan for small states. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but that's a good basic thing to remember. So we are going to come to the Great Compromise. So again, like I said, this debate between large and small states is going to continue. Connecticut delegates are going to suggest that the Senate have 2 members from each state, while the House has representation by population. So after long and bitter debates, delegates are going to accept this great compromise. So this great compromise, which is a compromise between the Virginia and New Jersey plan, is going to be proposed by the representatives from Connecticut. So you have a bicameral Congress where you have the House of Representatives, where each state is represented according to its population. So that's where you get your satisfaction for the Virginia plan. And the Senate each has 2 senators. So that's, kind of what was in the New Jersey plan. Both houses of Congress must pass every law. All right. The other thing that there is a lot of negotiations over is slavery. Governor Morris of New York condemned slavery at the convention, arguing that it was a nefarious institution. Slaveholders recognized contradictions between slavery and republicanism, but only supported an end to the slave trade and not slavery itself. So in the Constitution, it is never written, you never write, the word slave does not appear in the Constitution. They are referred to in other manners, which we can get into at some other point. But right now, just understand the word slave is not in the Constitution in any way. But there is a passage that says the slave trade, and it's again it doesn't say slave, they call it something else. But it says that Congress has to leave it alone until 1808. Delegates are going to develop a fugitive slave clause, but again, they're going to exclude the word slave and slavery from the Constitution. And the fugitive slave clause basically means that if you catch a fugitive slave, they have to be returned to their owner. Ultimately, delegates agreed that slaves would be counted as 3/5 of a free person for purposes of taxation and representation. So the non-slave holders want to count slaves as property because they're saying, well, you're calling it property, so we should get the taxes for the property. And the slave holding are like, well, we want them to count as our population because that's going to give us more representatives. And so the 3/5 compromise is born. So it is not 3/5 of a person. So basically they take the entire population of slaves in that state and then divide it by 5, multiply by 3. So they take 3/5 of the entire population, not 3/5 of a person. All right. Let's see. They want to create a powerful pro-creditor national government with powers of taxation, military defense, external commerce. But all but 3 are present at the convention signed the document. So this is the Constitution we still have in place today. It is over 200 years old. And it has only been amended 27 times. And 2 of those amendments, one of them replaced the other. So we can really say 25 times, actually, but 27 officially. The 21st cancels the 18th Amendment. And almost everybody signs this document. There are going to be a lot of debates about it, though. You'll hear a lot about Federalists and Anti-Federalists. So Federalists are people who are supportive of the new Constitution and the new government. Anti-Federalists are going to be people that are not supportive of it. All right? So the Articles of Confederation required a unanimous decision on anything. That was one of the reasons why it was difficult to amend it, and they decided to come up with a new document. And you could almost consider the writing of the Constitution to be as treasonous as the writing of the Declaration of Independence would have been. So if it hadn't have been approved, it could have been considered treason. But many of them will argue that that this is how they amended the document, the Articles of Confederation. But that aside, so the Constitution is requiring only 9 of 13 states to ratify the Constitution for it to go into effect. So not everybody even needs to sign it. However, if you're going to have a union, you need everybody to be on board. You have anti-federalists who are going to oppose the Constitution. Their fear is that the states are going to lose power. They want the states to remain sovereign, to have their own decisions. New York, especially, you've got ratification is very contested. And you have a lot of people that will write letters, they'll write papers, basically talking about how we don't want the Constitution. And then you will have 3 men, James Madison, John Jay, and Alexander Hamilton, that will all defend the Constitution in what is called the Federalist Papers. They influence political leaders throughout the country, and they win acclaim as an important treatise of political republicanism. They are still read and studied today. I read all 85 of them this summer. Please I beg you never to have to do that. I hope you never have to do that. It is not the most amazing thing in the world. But they're informative, and it does tell you a lot about why people believed in the Constitution. And the Anti-Federalist tells you a lot about why people were concerned about it. People in coastal areas tended to be Federalist. Backcountry population, they tended to be Anti-Federalist. Eventually, you do get the Constitution ratified with 9 states. All 13 will eventually jump on board. And you'll get the last few with the promise of a Bill of Rights, which I believe should be in the next chapter. So that is where we will stop for now. I hope that as you listen to this, I'm probably not here. I don't know. And if this is 3 years from now, well, hopefully I'm there. But anyway, as you listen to this, I hope you have a great week. I will see you soon. So have a great morning, afternoon, or evening. Bye.